Humans are not just good and bad, black and white. They're compassionate at times. They're at times. A man can be and compassionate to women at the same time. I was. Look at the lunatic and look at Brenda's Got a Baby.
He's 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Shakur's slayers are already in prison, but his notebooks may have just put them behind bars for life. Music. Everyone assumed the case was cold, the players untouchable, the truth buried with the bodies. That was until a team of researchers cracked the code hidden inside his crumpled pages, and the names they found didn't match the official story. Right now, insiders confirm the decoded notes include a 7-time repetition of a single initial, a symbol Shakur reserved for critical danger, written alongside dates and locations that align with meetings no one ever admitted happened. The documents reference a $1 million exchange at Greenblatt's Deli in 1996, a collateral damage phrase tied directly to the shooting, and a list of figures who later ended up in prison, in graves, or in sudden silence. The problem? The man who confessed to orchestrating the hit for 15 years recanted last month, just after the only other person named in the notes was convicted on federal charges and locked away. This isn't about solving a crime anymore. It's about who is still protecting the system that ordered it.
Keefe said he told Rat James that, look, it's big money in this. Only thing Puffy want to do, pay $1 million to have both of them. He told me that.
The moment the notebooks were decoded, the entire story of Shakur's final years stopped making sense. For decades, the official version went like this: a gang-related shooting, a feud between coasts, a tragic event born from rap's most volatile era. The names involved were familiar: Keefe D in the car, Orlando Anderson pulling the trigger, Suge Knight in the passenger seat, Diddy somewhere in the background, untouchable. Case files gathered dust. Witnesses disappeared. And the only man ever charged spent 15 years admitting his role before suddenly claiming he lied. That should have been the end of it. But the notebooks don't match the script. They describe a meeting at Greenblatt's Deli in 1996 where a 7-figure sum changed hands, a phrase repeated 11 times. The deal is sealed in initials that don't belong to the usual suspects. People close to the situation say the documents read less like a rapper's private thoughts and more like a ledger, tracking movements, payments, and warnings that align too perfectly with what happened next. Here's where the story starts to bend. If this was just a gang hit, why does the code include references to record contracts, studio sessions, and a phrase Shakur circled in red? They own the outcome.
Pac would have boxed him. Pac would have loved to beat his ass in the ring, raise some money, and give it to the hood.
The first red flag is the timing. Keefe D's confession has been public since 2008, 15 years of the same story, told to police, repeated in interviews, and published in a memoir. He described the shooting in detail, named Diddy as the man who ordered it, and even specified the weapon, a .40 caliber Glock pulled from a hidden compartment in the car's armrest. His nephew, Orlando Anderson, was the trigger man, he said, and the motive was retaliation for the beating Shakur's crew gave Anderson earlier that night in Las Vegas. That part checked out. Security footage from the MGM Grand showed the brawl, and Anderson's name appeared in the police report. But then, in 2025, after Diddy was convicted on federal charges and sent to prison, Keefe D recanted. His legal team filed a motion to dismiss the case, arguing his original statements were uncorroborated and made under duress. The problem? His recantation came 3 months after the notebooks were first leaked to a small group of researchers, and 2 weeks after a source inside the prison system claimed Diddy's team had been asking questions about the documents. That's not how innocence works. What's being whispered now is that Keefe D's sudden change of heart isn't about truth. It's about survival. The notebooks don't just implicate Diddy. They suggest a wider operation, one where the shooting was only a piece of a larger transaction. One entry from 1995, written in Shakur's frantic scrawl, references a transfer set for September 7, 1996, the exact night of the shooting, with the words payment due underlined twice. Another page lists initials next to dollar amounts. PC, $1 million. SK, $500,000. TS, followed by a question mark. Industry sources say TS likely refers to Teresa Swan, a former associate of Suge Knight who later testified in the notorious B.I.G. case. She's the only one still alive. The rest? Orlando Anderson was killed in a drive-by shooting in 1998. Wardell Poochie Faust, tied to Biggie's murder, was killed in 2003. DeAndre Smith, whom some believe was the actual shooter in Shakur's case, was found dead with multiple gunshot wounds in 2018. That's 3 key figures tied to the case, all removed before the notebooks surfaced. And now, Keefe D is the last one standing.
He was scared. Yes, I agree. I do agree that he was probably terrified for his life. So if that is the case, it's also quite feasible that he put up money to get Pac.
Here's where it gets worse. The notebooks don't just name names, they predict the cover-up. Music. A page from late 1996, written after Shakur's release from prison, includes a list of phrases: silent spot, witnesses disappear, and paper trail erased. Next to it, he drew a small clock with the hands pointing to 3 o'clock, the same time. Sources say that a white Cadillac pulled up beside Shakur's BMW that night in Las Vegas. Another entry, dated just days before the shooting, reads, "They think I don't see the pattern." The pattern, it turns out, wasn't just about the feud. It was about who stood to gain. Diddy's bad boy records was on the rise. Suge Knight's death row was crumbling under legal pressure. And Shakur, he was the loose end. Music. The notebooks suggest he knew it. One line, written in all caps, reads, "They need me gone before the deal closes." The question is, what deal?
I'm not surprised. We all know who he is and how we get down, so that don't surprise.
The answers may be buried in the legal filings from Diddy's recent trial. Court documents from 2025 reveal prosecutors were investigating links between Diddy's business ventures and payments made to figures connected to the West Coast scene in the mid-90s. One filing mentions a transfer of $250,000 to an account linked to a Compton-based security firm, the same firm, insiders say, that employed members of the Southside Crips. That's Keefe D's crew. Music. Another document references a meeting at a Hollywood eatery in 1996 where Diddy allegedly discussed resolving the LA situation with an unnamed associate. The notebooks include a nearly identical phrase: LA problem solved by September. That's the month Shakur was shot. Coincidence? Music. Not according to those who've seen the full decode. And this is where the story turns darker. The notebooks aren't just about Shakur's death, they're about the aftermath. One page, written in what appears to be a rushed hand, lists names under the heading "Who benefits." The first, Diddy. The second, Suge. The third, blank. But the most chilling entry is a single line at the bottom. They'll rewrite the story before the ink dries. That's exactly what happened. Within weeks of Shakur's death, the narrative was set: gang violence, coast-to-coast beef, a tragedy born from rap's golden era, no mention of the meetings, the payments, or the fact that the only man ever charged spent years admitting guilt until the moment it became inconvenient. Now, with the notebooks in play and Keefe D's trial looming, the question isn't just who pulled the trigger. It's who's been controlling the story all along.
I believe him, because he wasn't talking just to be talking. I felt he was also coming straight, because there was a big war behind that. A war that they lost. I think it was a war that destroyed their neighborhood.
The final piece of the puzzle may be hiding in plain sight. In 2018, during an interview with Vlad TV, Keefe was asked point-blank about the notebooks. His response? A smirk and a single phrase. Let them read about it. Music. At the time, it sounded dismissive. Now, with the decode public and a trial approaching, it reads like a threat. Because if the notebooks are real, they don't just implicate the usual suspects, they expose a system. And systems don't like loose ends. That's why the silence around this case has always been louder than the confessions. That's why the only man who talked for 15 years suddenly stopped. And that's why, according to sources inside the prison where Keefe is being held, he's been moved to solitary confinement under protective custody. The official reason? A fight. The real reason? People are asking too many questions about the notebooks. And in this story, questions get you eliminated.
Satisfied. I don't feel like I've ever embarrassed myself or my people, in nothing I've done. And yet and all, I got the whole world fearing me, you know what I'm saying? At 23, weighing 160 pounds, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't even started. I haven't even rolled my plan out yet, and they scared. I got the vice president know who I am, the president, every cop in every city.
The notebooks aren't just about Shakur's final days. They're a map of how the industry turns conflict into transactions and tragedy into leverage. Look at the pattern. In 1994, Shakur was ambushed at Quad Studios, robbed of $40,000 in cash and jewelry while Diddy and Biggie were allegedly nearby. The official story called it random. The notebooks call it the first move, with a note beside the date reading. They're testing my silence. That same year, Suge Knight publicly humiliated Diddy at the Source Awards, and Shakur's pages from that period include a single underlined word. Distraction. By 1996, the feud had escalated into what the notebooks call the endgame. Just weeks before the Vegas shooting, Shakur wrote, "The pieces are in place." What's telling is how the documents frame the Mike Tyson fight, not as coincidence, but as a setup. One entry reads, "They'll use the crowd as cover," followed by a list of names, some crossed out, others circled. The crossed-out names are tied to figures who later met violent ends. The circled ones are still alive. The notebooks don't just document the hit, they predict the fallout. A page from late 1996 includes a timeline of events that hadn't happened yet. P's empire grows. S's downfall begins. The truth gets buried with the bodies. That's exactly what followed. Diddy's Bad Boy records dominated the late 90s. Suge Knight's death row collapsed under legal pressure and betrayal. The Shakur case went cold. The Biggie investigation stalled. And the only man ever charged spent years admitting his role, until it became inconvenient. One line in all caps reads, "They need the story to stay the same." That's why anyone who got close ended up silenced, discredited, or removed. Orlando Anderson in 1998. Wardell Pucci Faust in 2003. DeAndre Smith in 2018. And now Keefe D, the last man standing, suddenly recanting after 2 decades. The question isn't whether he's lying now. It's whether he was ever allowed to tell the truth.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make a...
The financial trail tells its own story. Court documents from Diddy's recent legal troubles reveal transfers of large sums to Compton-based security firms in the mid-90s, the same firms linked to Keefe D's crew. One filing mentions a $250,000 payment in 1996 to an account tied to a private protection detail, the same year Shakur was killed. The notebooks list a nearly identical amount beside the initials PC and the phrase insurance policy. That's not coincidence. That's a paper trail. And it doesn't stop there. Industry sources say Shakur's notes reference multiple deals tied to record contracts, studio sessions, and even a meeting at a Beverly Hills hotel where, according to the notebooks, the terms were finalized. The problem? The hotel's records from that period are missing. The only evidence left is in the notebooks. And they don't just point to Diddy. They describe a system, one where artists were leveraged, conflicts were manufactured, and tragedies were the cost of doing business.
Got it. So you're saying Diddy's an FBI informant and he's been one for many years.
How would they say? Nothing ever happens, but it's still, like I said.
What's happening now is the system fighting back. Keefe's sudden recantation isn't just about his case, it's about controlling the narrative before the notebooks become fully public. His legal team argues that his original confession was uncorroborated. But the documents suggest otherwise. One entry from 1995 describes a conversation in which someone, initials redacted, says, "We'll handle the LA situation by September." That's the same month Shakur was shot. Another page lists payments with amounts that match the transfers later uncovered in Diddy's legal filings. And then there's the most damning line of all. They'll rewrite history before the ink dries. That's not paranoia. That's a playbook, and it's working. Right now, Keefe is the only person facing charges. Diddy's appeal is moving forward. And the notebooks are still being treated as unverified, despite the patterns they reveal. The real question is simple. Who benefits from keeping it that way?
Hey, that boy life is dangerous. His life isn't, and he's just not dangerous with they said he's doing, but he's in danger. He knows too.
The answer may lie in who's still protecting the story. Suge Knight, the man who survived the shooting, has spent years in prison without ever speaking publicly about that night. That silence isn't just stubbornness, it's strategy. Sources inside the prison system claim Knight has received special considerations in exchange for staying quiet, including access to private communication channels not monitored like those of other inmates. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team has aggressively pushed to suppress any mention of the notebooks in Keefe's upcoming trial, arguing they're irrelevant to the case. But if they're irrelevant, why the panic? The documents don't just implicate individuals. They expose a mechanism. And mechanisms have owners. That's why the notebooks aren't just evidence. They're a threat. They don't just name names, they reveal how the game was rigged from the start.
You know, and they're more important to the police on the streets than here, because they let them know what's...
The final piece of this puzzle is the one no one wants to talk about. The notebooks aren't just about Shakur or Diddy. They're about the industry's darkest rule. When you become a liability, you disappear. Shakur knew it. Biggie knew it. And the fact that both cases remain officially unsolved isn't a failure of justice, it's a feature of the system. The notebooks include a chilling line from 1996. They'll make sure no one can prove it. That's not a warning. That's a confession. And it's playing out in real time. Keefe's recantation. The missing hotel records. Witnesses who died before testifying. And the fact that the only people who ever faced consequences were the ones who talked. The rest? They're still in power. Still making deals. Still controlling the story. The notebooks change that, and that's why they're dangerous.
The man put a lot of out there himself. So whether it's true or it's a lie, he got to answer for that. And whatever his explanation is, we're gonna see. But he said
this isn't just about solving a case from the 90s. It's about what happens when the truth starts costing more than silence. Right now, Keefe is being held in solitary confinement under protective custody. His trial has been delayed. His legal team is pushing to exclude the notebooks from evidence. Diddy's appeal is moving forward, with his lawyers arguing the documents are fabricated. And Suge Knight remains silent. But the notebooks are out there. And they're not just about what happened, they're about what's still happening. So here's where we leave it to you. Do you believe Keefe D's recantation is legitimate, or is he being silenced before he can testify? Why would the notebooks contain financial details that match Diddy's legal filings if they weren't connected? And if the industry really wanted this case solved, why has it stayed cold for 27 years? Drop your theories in the comments, because this story isn't over. It's just getting started. And the next move is theirs. Fire.